It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. I'm your host, Maddie Margarita, here with SCWA's tech wizard, Diana Pardee. Every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., we welcome a new writer to talk about their books and themselves. And this morning, we're fortunate to have with us Ara Grigorian. Ara is a USA Today bestselling author of Game of Love, 10-Year Dance, 15 Days with You, and Desire After Dark, which is, I guess, a contribution to an anthology. Is that right? Right. Always a sucker for a hopeful ending, he writes about choices, relationships, and second chances. Currently a technology executive in the entertainment industry, Ara earned his master's in business administration from the University of Southern California. True to the Hollywood life, he wrote for a children's television pilot that could have made him rich, but didn't, and nearly sold a video game to a major publisher who closed shop days later. Yes, well, you are the California dream, Ara.
That's right.
So obviously you didn't let any of that deter you from your passion of writing.
No, I think maybe it's just, I wasn't wise enough to see the handwriting on the wall, and I just kept on going. I think that's what it is. When you have a creative passion, I believe strongly that it is not you who has created that calling. It was placed in you. It is part of you. And if you do not honor it, if you don't go after it, I believe you will be a very unhappy person later on in life. And yeah, really, this is the story that I like to tell sometimes, is that when I met the person who would become my wife in college, we were out with some friends, and she asked me, I think I was 19 at the time. She said, if you could do anything without fear of failure, what would it be? And I said, I would be a writer. She says, then why aren't you doing that? Because I'm going to be an engineer. That's a respectable job. That's because I can guarantee an income. I can't recount on anything. But over the years, over the next 2 decades, it was always the same. One day when I retire, I'll write. So when I was turning 40, my wife said, stop, just stop that, stop saying that. And kids are old enough, you can write at nights, just start writing. And that's what it began. Thankfully, otherwise I would still be thinking about one day when I retire, and who knows when I'll retire,
Well, and lucky for us that you made that decision so much earlier. Yes. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but one of the things I love about your books is that they are romance, right? Written from a male point of view, a male perspective, and we're coming close to Valentine's Day. So we all want to think about romance and all those good things. So when you said, okay, my whole life I want to be a writer, what drew you to write this genre and these kinds of stories?
Honestly, I didn't think that's what I was going to do. I thought I was going to be a mystery writer. My mom, when she was pregnant with me, she would read Agatha Christie novels. So somehow it was like, it was taken
in your DNA.
Yes, absolutely. So when I started, the first couple of stories that I was trying to write very poorly, they were mystery / thrillers, which I still love. I love to read those. But in the end, it always came down to the characters and the people, that what they were going through was more interesting to me. So when the book that would become my debut novel, Game of Love, when I was first writing that, it was through the male. It was meant to be Andre's story, who was this brilliant guy who can see details that nobody does. But then there is this character, Gemma, which became more and more interesting. I mean, her story became more interesting. And I remember I had submitted the first 5 pages or something to this Twitter-based competition. And one of the people who was involved was an agent. And she said, look, your writing is very good, but I got really interested at the end of page 4 when you introduced Gemma. I wish I knew more about her. And that's when I realized, am I writing from the wrong person's perspective? Am I writing the wrong story? And honestly, I have to tell you, I was petrified to think that, could I write a woman's voice in a way that doesn't sound like, this is what a guy thinks a woman should sound like, because it's true, it is there. I've read plenty of books that within the first 10 pages or so, I feel embarrassed, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like, it's almost like this person has never met a woman, or had women friends, or talk to their mom, their wives, their friends, etc. It's like you're completely disconnected. So honoring the voice was important. So I remember distinctively at the Santa Barbara Writers Conference, this was when I knew that my book was really clean. I just knew it deep inside that it was ready. So I submitted my work to 5 agents. None of them represented the genre. I was at that point calling it women's fiction, believe it or not, because I I was thinking it's not romance, not really. But I submitted to 5 agents, and every time I would go up to the table to say hello to them and get their feedback, the very first comment was a pause. They would look at me, they would say, "Oh, you're a man." And later on, they would say, "You sold the woman's voice, and that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered." So first, I needed to make sure that if I'm going to write love stories, and I'm going to kind of move away a little bit from saying just pure romance, but to me, all stories are love stories. If you don't have some form of love in the story, I think you're doing yourself, your readers a disservice. Whether it's buddy love, two cops who are partners, who love each other, maybe not necessarily in a sexual, but there is a
right. Lethal Weapon. Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely, perfect example. Where one becomes the agent of change for the other. To me, that's what it's all about. Everything for me is about the people that I love in my life, in my work. These people make a difference day in and day out. So when some of these agents, a couple of them said, "Well, this is really kind of a romance," I was like, wow, I never thought I'm a romance writer. So what is a romance really? And there's very specific things that thou shalt do. And if you're going to claim you're writing romance, and my first 2 books were absolutely romance. Game of Love and 10-Year Dance were absolutely romance. The main plot, the main story is the love story. But romance says, the main plot has to be the love story, and there has to be at a minimum a hopefully ever and after, if not happily ever after. But some stories to me they're still perfect romances, but we don't really know how they're gonna end. We don't know if the characters will be together, but it's still a good story to tell.
But 15 Days with You, is a different kind of. I mean, I think you're right about your books. They have a strong romantic or emotional hook, but they also have great stories.
Thank you.
I mean, you went from the beach to long-term connection. I mean, talk about how you found these stories, because they're not romance like I think people consider. Who is the Barbara Cartland? Kind of romances. They're not Regency romances, but they are more character studies and relationship studies entwined with a good story. So how did you come up with those? Those are great stories.
Thank you. First of all, I read so much, and to me, what has always attracted me about any kind of story, whether it was The Stand by Stephen King or anything in between that and Voltaire, to me, it was always about the character, what they are going through. I'm one of those people who, if you know me as a friend, that I really want to know more about you. And, so therefore I go deep in people with my friends. They know a lot about me. I don't leave anything secret. And so for me, knowing people and seeing that, if you take a story and you just plop a character on the page and they become this 2-dimensional character, you're losing an opportunity. You might have a great love story there, but we're causal creatures. Something caused us to be there in the story. There is a background, there is a history. There were parents who might have been amazing or horrible. There were friends who betrayed you. There was past loves that left you scarred. And when you understand that those things are what caused your character to have a worldview, a perspective, a distrust of others. It can't be just because, hey, a distrust for a love is a good plot device. You have to honestly sell that. And if you can't make it sound right, then the reader starts feeling like, oh, okay, this is just a fast read. I want resonance. Anything I read, I want resonance. I want you to think about the characters. I want you to care about the characters. So something like 15 Days with You, which is sitting right next to me, this was very likely based on a story I was telling my friend Norm, who is Thoming, who is part of this this group as well. A good friend, a great friend actually.
Otherwise known as August Norman. Yes, but
August Norman, that's right. I have his books. Well, anyway, we were having lunch at Porto's. It's been a very long time since we've had lunch at Porto's, so we got to do that again. And I just remembered how at the summer of 11th grade, then the end of 11th grade, going to 12th grade, I joined my brother and his friends who are older than me on it was like maybe about 30 days of going from one beach to another, just to explore different beaches in California. And it was a great story. It was, for me, it was one of those things, it was part of my growth, you know, the things I experienced, it became part of my story. So as I was telling him this, he says, you know, that has to be a novel. Yeah. So I thought, oh, but my life was boring. I did nothing. All I did was bum out on the beach and evaluate life and where I want to go with life. And that's not a great story. So I thought, what do people do at the beach that's fun? And I thought, surfing. Surfing is awesome. And I know nothing about surfing other than it looks awesome, but I would never go out there because I don't want to be shark food, you know? But I started studying it, investigating it, looking at the beaches, interviewing professional surfers to really get in their world, in their mind. Because I didn't want it to be, for those who remember the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I didn't want this to be Jeff Spicoli. Hey, dude, I didn't want to I didn't want these characters to come across as surfers. They're not intelligent people. They just have a passion for what they're doing. They really understand something about nature that the rest of us will never truly appreciate. So it was fun to just studying it. But then your character has to have a reason where they're going through. What's the story? You know, what are they going through? What is the trials and tribulations they're going through? So I put my character through a process of his mom has just died. And he discovers a secret about her that he never knew. And
he's a young person, right?
He just turned 18. He is he's going to be a senior next year. So putting a teenager on a road trip, on a journey of discovery through learning more about his mom's life was an interesting challenge to take. And it was a challenge, honestly, because it's emotionally draining to write those kinds of things because you become that character. But then when you're done, you feel good when you get the feedback that you do.
I think one of the things that people should know is when they read a book that's written by you, it's an emotional journey. So that you really go deep into and you fall into. It's one of those books where you get drawn into, whether you want to or not. So you have the 10-year dance, Game of Love, 15 Days with You, and then you have the anthology, the story in the anthology that's the precursor or introduction to your new series, right?
Yes, it's book one of a new series called the series will be called Fortuny Bay. It's planned to be 3 books, but I've been working with someone and she's saying you can make this 5 books, you know. But it's right now planned to be 3 books. It is a love story, but it's a small beach town story of you know, it's your classic story of the prodigal son that comes back home, but it's a bit of a reverse because this prodigal son has become very wealthy. He has sold his last company for over $1 billion. He's a tech guru, and he's coming back to a father that they never loved. They never loved each other. They never got along with each other. So it's a reversed prodigal son. And of course, by the time he gets there, he gets a kick in the pants immediately because his father passes away even before he has a chance to have a conversation that he wanted to. So it starts there. That's where the story begins. And this is a beach town that is kind of a forgotten town. I call it a map dot, where it could be an amazing place in California, but it's a forgotten place. And it represents kind of like the left behind, those who are forgotten, the places that are forgotten. So it was a fun project to take on, and the characters just came alive for me very quickly. It was just fun to jump in there and explore this world. So yeah, book 1 will be released under its own title and cover. I'm shooting for late February, but it'll probably be the first week of March, just because I want to get some things right with the promotion of it. And then book 2 will come out near the end of the summer. My goal is to have all 3 books out this year in 2022. But I'm also working on another series with a co-writer, an urban fantasy series, which we've written book 1. We're editing it as we speak. So that'll come out in the summer as well. Just looking forward to playing different things. Oh, and we're also working on a we're adapting a novel to a screenplay. It's a thriller that we've been working on. So it's fun. We're just doing a lot of work, keeping myself busy.
Well, yeah, busy is an understatement. So, all right. So if you had to give advice to people as to what book to start with or buy, or how, I mean, you have different books out there. How would you guide people to buy your books?
Okay, so
besides just go to Amazon and buy my books.
Sure,
buy
sure.
all of them. Yeah, okay,
Yes.
we can do that.
What I would say is this. I think it depends on your sensitivities as well. Game of Love, 10-Year Dance, and 15 Days with You, they are part of the same universe. And what I mean is that there is interaction, there's some crossover of some secondary and tertiary characters. So what'll happen is if you've read book one, if you read Game of Love, something will be, a couple of things will happen there that if you know about that, it's kind of like a treat to the fans of Game of Love. Now, you could read any one of them on their own and you will still get a full story. You will not miss out. It's just a little gift to my fans. Also, you will find Nutella in every single book that I write. That goes without a doubt.
Well, the pages that have the little Nutella fingerprints on them.
That's right, exactly right. The reason why I said it comes also down to sensitivity is that Game of Love, if you don't like the F-bomb and things like that, Game of Love has it. If you don't want,
so a Game of Love is about tennis, the tennis world, right?
It is a story set in the world of women's tennis. It's a story of a fierce British tennis star who has become more celebrity than athlete, and it's a story of redemption. She wants to prove everyone that she can be the great one that everyone thought she was. But of course, she falls in love at the worst time. So the question becomes, the love of the work-life balance question. What's more important? What do you choose? Can you choose both? And what do you give up in the process? So that's Game of Love. And it was my first attempt at a love story. So therefore, there are more sexual scenes. It's all behind closed doors. So everything is honestly PG-13 at best. But some people want very clean. I don't want to see the F-bomb. I don't want to see the S word, Game of Love has that. All my other novels do not, but Game of Love just happened to be one of those stories. I think
you're writing free form there, Ara.
That's right.
All right, great. And where can people find your books?
So I'm on Amazon. I'm on Barnes and Noble. You can find me everywhere. But my website is aragrigorian.com, or you can go to tennisnovel.com, or you can go to surfingnovel.com. But yeah, my website is always fresh. You will find the links to everything. My books are available in paperback and hardcover as well. So if you're one of those who still needs to have that tactile feel, they're all available.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your insights and your books with us this morning. I hope that you will do as well as you have done in the past and on your future books. And we look forward to hearing from you again. And we want to talk to you again. So let us know when that book comes out, okay?
I'll do. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ara. And I hope you all enjoyed our discussion this morning. If you're looking for more bookshots like this, you can go to SCWA Writers Online on YouTube. Also, if you have comments and questions for Ara, you can go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. Ara will be checking, hopefully, and getting back to you. And we hope that you did enjoy this and that you'll join us again next week when we bring back another wonderful author. So until then, stay safe and we will see you soon.